and possessed. But it meant nothing now. The vergers kicked him back to the ground, where he lay and did not rise again, and David knew his father was dead. Footsteps and the hard voices of men not needing nor desiring to hide their approach echoed up the stairs. David considered crawling under the bed, but they would find him and drag him kicking and screaming out into the rain, and they would slash his throat, and he would lie there with his father. The thought held some temptation. He wasn't stupid. The vergers would keep hunting him, and the realization filled him with a great and awful weariness. He didn't know where to run. He knew that if they had come for his father, they'd have come for everyone else. There'd be no one he could turn to. Not James Ling, or Medicine Paul, or the Cathcart sisters. Any survivors would be running for their own lives. All these considerations in under a second, and while he thought them, he opened his window and slid out, with just the clothes on his back, clinging to the slimy windowsill with his fingertips, the carnival calm in tatters, and knowing it might end here with just one slip. It nearly did. David lost his grip and dropped into the dead tree beneath his window. Its rotten limbs snapped under his weight. He landed in a heap on the soft mud beneath and clambered to his feet. No bones broken as far as he could tell. He leapt a stone wall, almost tripping, and sprinted onto the road. Someone shouted from his window. Whistles blew. David did not look back, because if he did, he would stop, and stopping would end him. Such are politics in Merleys. Merleys, Unabridged. David wiped the vomit from his lips for the third time in under an hour. He knew what was coming, just as much as he knew he couldn't stop it, which was almost as terrifying as the vergers that hunted him. The carnival's claws tightened. How could something get so bad, even as it left your body? It was just another awfulness to add to his collection, only this one would grow, and quickly. He tried to occupy his mind with other thoughts, possible options of escape, the long term, anything but the drug and his body's rising hunger for it. The north was his best choice now. If he could make it to the city of Hardacre, he would find refuge. He had an aunt who lived there, and she would take him in. They'd always been close. But the road to Hardacre was impossibly perilous. The margin and Cuttle folk, half wild and with long and bitter memories of war, lay between here and there. And the one bridge that crossed into those lands, on the edge of the Northmere, was heavily guarded. He may as well be striking out to the moon. But then again, he had proven himself more adept at survival than he had first thought. All night he had been running, hiding, keeping to the shadows, moving only when the vergers in their whistling packs had passed. It had been surprisingly easy, perhaps because escape was all he could allow his mind to focus on. As he had run, he had found himself instinctively heading to the one place he might hide. Once or twice he had scored carnival there, though only when most desperate. Usually, he had not needed to look far to find people willing to supply him. After all, he was the great confluent leader Warwick Milld's son. And if his father's currency had decreased in the last few months, well, he had never expected it to go so low. Unabridged loomed out of the murk. David was familiar with it, had often come this way as a boy with his father. The master engineer would point out its various structural peculiarities, its size being the least of them. For Merleys was a city of excess, its levee banks blocking out the sun, channeling away the rain. Once the River Weep had been just a trickle between the embankments, a trickle 200 yards across. Now it had climbed their walls to a height of nearly 50 feet, and was rising every day. The dolorous grey rattled overhead. David could just make out its plumes of smoke. That's what he really needed, to be on the train, steaming away from Merleys. Even though its destination couldn't be considered safe, it was better than what faced him here, and he could lose